Welcome to Dil Ki Recipes on your favorite social media platform. Hi, I'm Dr. Sheeza Mohsin, executive coach, relationship expert, and your coach in this virtual space to support you and your Desi family in America. If you identify as being a person of color, a minority, and having some form of bicultural identity, a major goal of putting this information out is to help you realize you're not alone in this journey. If you identify as a Desi with cultural roots in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and surrounding areas, trying to meet your life and relationship needs and desires while embracing some beautiful elements of your cultural heritage, Dil Ki Recipes is for you. If you don't identify as a Desi, but have a warm, loving, human being kind of disposition and you want to better yourself, I think you'll find some good stuff in here as well. So let's go on with the show. Hello and welcome to this episode, a very important topic because a lot of my work has been around couples therapy that I am interacting with a lot now has to do with dating after a failed marriage or after a failed relationship. Unfortunately, marriages and marital distress and various reasons that are societal, personal, evolution ended up with a divorce rate of almost 50%. What that means is that a lot of people are in that situation where they are looking for a nurturing relationship, a partnership, after being really hurt, fatigued, in a longer term commitment. For some other people who are in committed relationships, there's a lot of doubt and thought around if this is the person that's the one. The fear of being hurt, the fear of rejection, all of those things are very, very intensified. Part of it is because of social media. People enjoy posting about their romantic relationships. The grandiosity of those posts put a lot of pressure on you. So when you are sharing love openly, because now digital communication of love has become a love language, you are scared because the person that you're committing yourself to could tomorrow be someone who violates your trust, who you have a breakup with, who you have a divorce with. And then there is that magnitude of pressure you feel, feeling embarrassed because you have loved before. There is a lot of fear. This episode is about just making overt many of the challenges so you know that you're not alone. And you also have hopefully some perspective about it, that you take it lightly, that you take it in humor as you are experiencing the possibility of another adventure, another romantic experience with someone that can lead to a beautiful, committed relationship. What I want to begin by saying is that a lot of people, in fear of messing up, in fear of divorce, in fear that soon they love someone and that person is going to betray them, end up showing up very half-heartedly. So I have heard lots of feedback from clients where all a person is going to do is send you a text and they feel that saying good morning or just saying I'm thinking about you is enough. And the other person might be showing up way more in terms of giving gifts, making time, allotting to spend resources on the relationship. So here's where I would tell you, notice yourself if you are in that situation of the kinds of relationships and situations that you find yourself in, and notice where you may possibly need to set boundaries. This is also to reach out to those of you who might never seek therapy, but know that these are challenges that others are facing as well. So minimally showing up is one thing that people are complaining about. The other confusion about modern dating now is the money factor. A lot of the women are earning a lot more money. A lot of the women are financially successful than who's paying for the date, who is spending the money. There's a lot of gender pressure on the men that even though the women are making money, they are supposed to pay for stuff. So there's a lot of disparity between expectations, and this shows up in marriages as well, but there is heightened awareness. Another thing that you will notice when you're dating after a long-term marriage or relationship is there is a burnout in the bucket of showing grace. Because you've shown so much grace in your previous relationship, the new person coming in has to be perfect. There is very limited grace that people find themselves showing, and there's very quick to exit. Oh my God, I saw a yellow flag, a beige flag, a green flag, a purple flag, and I'm out. An element of your fear that you want to notice is also the idea that if I show up too much, then I will be taken for granted and I will be taken advantage of. With the results that a lot of men I'm finding are choosing situationships, the hookup culture, and eventually all of those things really are not sustainable or fulfilling for those of you who prefer to be in beautiful, long-term committed relationships. So some things to just think about are the challenges. Some things to think about are how you're showing up. Some fears to consider are the ones that you are seeing show up again and again in your experience of trying to find love again. Let me begin with one idea of showing up. When you're trying to find a person, I would invite you to really show up as your authentic self and really try to get to know this person without judging them. One of the things that I notice when I'm getting feedback from my clients and I'm learning about these things from my friends and loved ones is that there's almost like a meta-analysis of everything going on instead of just being in the experience of dating. You are interacting, but you're so conscious about, oh, he did that. What does that mean? He didn't do that. What does that mean? Well, she showed up this way. What does that mean? She was too warm. What does that mean? So there's a fear and analysis paralysis because remember, we are in an age of the internet and AI. And so you can come up with like the 5 questions to ask when you're on a first date, but really like maybe putting your phone aside and engaging with a person and hearing their story is more important. Another challenge that I'm hearing a lot is around this whole money and expectation thing. What makes you know this person is the one? What makes you know that this is a good thing to pursue? And one of the things that I would like to suggest, and so this is going out to both people who are trying to engage, show up wholeheartedly, try to spend time, try to engage, try to not be measured in how you show generosity, whether it's time. Show up as you show up generally. Don't show up like you are not. So if you're a generous person, guess what? You are going to show up generously. And then what you want to see is what that person across the table, across the room does with that. When they see you showing up generously, are they reciprocating? Because if they're showing up 25% of the time and you show up 75% of the time, there is no equity and fairness in that relationship. Not a good sign. If you invite them to their home, but they don't invite you to their home. If you are willing to make lots of plans, but they are not very easy to make plans with, you're automatically seeing signs that this may not be a good fit. Know your non-negotiables. A lot of times people, and I will say this also because I know a lot of the South Asian population, the East Asian population, a lot of like Latin cultures, we get into being givers. If you are a giver, and I'm not talking about just women, I'm talking about men, and you're giving and you're not seeing reciprocity and receiving, that's really not a good sign. What does that mean? You need to have conversations about it. Is this you? Are you afraid? I notice that you don't show up this way. And financial generosity does not mean that they have to spend oodles of money and you need to go on grand vacations. Of course, if there's affordability, feel free to do that. But it means showing up in the tiniest of thoughtful of ways. It means showing up in all those languages of love because you deserve it. You also want to make sure that you are thinking about what you want in that relationship. A lot of us, firstborns, caregivers, women, end up being nurtured and groomed as givers and pleasers. Well, guess what? It's great for the person you're in the relationship with, not great for you. So again, some things to think about when you're dating. A lot of things you want to think about are the hard things that a lot of times we feel love will fix. And I want to tell you examples of a few things love usually is not able to fix. One of the things that love is not able to fix is lifestyle, maturity, compatibility. Lifestyle compatibility is, for example, if you come from a different socioeconomic class, how you live life may look very different from how they live life. How you prioritize what you want to spend money on might be very different from how they prioritize what they want to spend money on. How you prioritize how time should be spent may look different. So having those difficult conversations is a good thing. What do I mean when I talk about maturity? You want to look at emotional maturity of the person. How dysregulated do they get? How was your first fight? Did you hear the isolation of the argument or did you hear more character attacks? Because if you feel that this person is not emotionally mature and you're not emotionally in tune at the similar maturity level, there's already strain that the relationship and love will not fix. Initially, maybe a little bit of makeup intimacy might work, but over time, this is something that fatigues. So you want to look at that. You also want to look at where you're going, especially second and third and fourth round relationships. You have an idea of how you want to spend your life. You want to talk about that. You want to talk about flexibility. Another important conversation to have is, how are you going to blend your families? How are you going to prioritize time? How much time is good time for them? How much time is good time for you? How much time outside of your romantic relationship are you okay with them giving to other things? Because otherwise it becomes like a control issue, right? As you mature, your tolerance for unnecessary things that disrupt life becomes lower. So those are some of the things to be mindful of. I know I've shared quite a few things that are challenging, quite a few things that might not be easy to talk about. But what I am hoping you will do is invite that openness to think of a person without judging them, to notice how physically attracted you are to them, to notice the possibility of dreaming, the possibility of, do you think that this could become something? And having those conversations and initiating time spent with this person to find out more. And to say, you know what, let's continue exploring, especially if there's common ground. Maybe you both like to eat out. Maybe you both like to travel. Maybe explore some of those things. Talk about intimacy expectations in the relationship. Those make beautiful conversations, and you don't have to commit, but you have to talk about them. And that's going to be pivotal in helping you understand if this is it. For those of you who find yourself in relationships or romantic, I will say possibilities that end up just being hookups, situationships, I'd love for you to develop the muscle to work on your self-worth and to see that if this is not what you want, why are you staying in those relationships and not looking for other things? Very important, because you deserve better. And if you are comfortable or at a stage of life where this is all you can take, that's fine too. But throughout this time, it's really important for you to continue learning how to separate your baggage from what the possibility of this person being in your life will bring. I am wishing you so much good luck in this, and hope you find love and hope you find peace and beautiful relationship that you can nest in, that you can have someone to grow old with, to travel with, to have coffee with, to go on walks with, to contemplate life with, to be playful in intimacy with. Wishing you all the best, and talk to you soon. Please remember to keep listening and watching as part of your weekly self-care and learning ritual. You know there are lots of commonalities in our lives, relationships, in our joys and struggles. And my hope is that this material will help you expand your perspective, give you some clarity on how to think about things, and ultimately make you feel better and sorted about your life and relationships. Hope you have a fulfilling and wholesome day.